Let's go!
Step into my world, it's a pixel dream. Retro vibes and magic on every screen. Telling tales with a wink and a smile. Stay with me and laugh for a while. High scores rise and hearts on fire. Every word lifts us higher. Adventure calls, are you ready to go? I'll lead the way and let it flow. Cuteness overload, sparkle in my eyes. Weaving little stories under neon skies. Level up the love, it's our time to shine. Elle-C, forever divine. Heroes and dreams, I'll bring them to life. Plot twists, turns, and a hint of strife. Pixel perfect tales just for you. Happy endings always come true. High scores rise and hearts on fire. Every word lifts us higher. Adventure calls, are you ready to go? I'll lead the way and let it flow. Cuteness overload, sparkle in my eyes. Weaving little stories under neon skies. Level up the love, it's our time to shine. Elle-C, forever divine. Heroes and dreams, I'll bring them to life. Plot twists, turns, and a hint of strife. Pixel perfect tales just for you. Happy endings always come true. Happy endings always come true. High scores rise and hearts on fire. Every word lifts us higher. Adventure calls, are you ready to go? I'll lead the way and let it flow. Cuteness overload, sparkle in my eyes. Weaving little stories under neon skies. Level up the love, it's our time to shine. Elle-C, forever divine. Ow. Forever divine. Oh, oh, forever divine.
Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel. Today, we have some exciting news to share.
I don't know about exciting news, Bestie, but we do have some news to share. Which, of course, you Americans probably already know. Some influencer was shot dead. DD, dead. Nope, we don't even joke about that. Anyways, yeah, today I will be reading Choose Your Own Adventure number 94, Return of the Ninja, using my app. Before we begin, allow me to acknowledge some of the people already here in the chat. Let me see who's here. Hello, Nagato and or Crunchy Reviews, welcome. Alright. Who got shot? Charlie Kirk. Some conservative speaker slash influencer. Anyways, it's all over the news. Charlie Kirk. It is right there. It is right there. Alexis speech bubble. Hello, Ars. So anyway, I will be using my ebook reader, but first, we're gonna talk about Charlie Kirk as well and my thoughts on it. But first, I need to do a little bit of a favor for LDP. Do this real quickly. And then this one, need to change this logo to the magazine logo. I'll do that real quickly. So this stream is meant to show off the app I made a little bit. The book I will be reading today is Return of the Ninja, a choose your own adventure book, so this soundtrack is quite fitting. Wish's house. I don't even know that game, so I have no idea. Later arc. Try it sometime. What platform? Let me know the platform and I might consider it. I don't like puzzles, so nope. I don't think so. So, yeah. My response to that is nope. I don't think I will. Now, let's open up Elle-C CBZ reader. RPG Maker. Oh, I see. Thank you for the super chat, Nagato. Arigatsu da yo. Here is Elle-C cute and funny reader. So we're gonna be using this one. No need to be sorry for the delayed messages. It's all good. So we're gonna be using my reader to read this one out loud. It's a big file, so it'll take a while to open. With that said, let's talk a little bit about Charlie Kirk Day. It's about time. So, full disclosure, I've only heard about this guy today. Quite ironic. I've only heard about him on the day he's assassinated, but that be how it goes. So, here is my understanding of what happened. So, Charlie Kirk is a conservative speaker slash influencer. Apparently, held very controversial views on certain things such as abortion, gun control, gun violence, racism, stuff like that. So, while in a public event, he was shot dead from a distance of around 200 meters. So it was a sniper. But let's not get too much into the details of that. What I want to talk about is how this connects to yesterday's discussion on the Charlotte train stabbing incident. Or more specifically, how certain people try to justify crimes and the death of other people simply because they do not agree with their political views. So, let's take, for example, violence of certain people of a certain skin color, racially motivated against Caucasians. You get what I'm saying? Because that is precisely what happened in the Charlotte train stabbing incident, which of course was came out of the killer's mouth. Right after the stabbing, the killer, who is a person of color, was muttering, "Ah, yeah, I got that white girl. I got that white girl." Obviously, he's probably not right in the head to do that. But, you know who else are not right in the head? The people justifying said incident by virtue of white guilt, by virtue of a crime committed against their ancestors. Apparently, Caucasians, Caucasians enslaved my people 5,999 years ago. That's an exaggeration, of course. So now we are justified in, because we are descendants of those people who were enslaved, we are now justified in taking revenge on the descendants of those who enslaved us. You know what that sounds like? Have you guys ever read or watched the final portions of Attack on Titan? If not, let's have Bestie talk about this. We are live, Bestie. So I'm talking about the Charlie Kirk incident as well as the Charlotte train stabbing incident today. As well as, of course, showing off my app later, my reader app. So to start things off, Bestie, can you tell us why white guilt and other similar concepts are actually a logical fallacy, and how it is actually very similar to the good Albion thing in Attack on Titan? Can you do that for me, Bessie?
So, let's break this down. Concepts like white guilt, or really any collective inherited guilt, are built on a logical fallacy. Why? Because guilt is tied to individual action, not group identity. If someone hasn't committed a crime or wrongdoing themselves, you can't hold them morally responsible just because they belong to the same race, nationality, or lineage as someone who did. That's guilt by association, which is a fallacy. It's actually very similar to what we see in Attack on Titan with the whole good Eldian idea. Remember how Marley teaches that Eldians must constantly atone for the sins of their ancestors, the ones who supposedly used the Titans to oppress the world? Eldians are expected to prove themselves as good Eldians by accepting collective guilt and showing obedience. But in reality, most of them never personally did any of those things. They're being forced to inherit blame for actions long before their time. That's the same mechanism at work with white guilt, or any other form of inherited guilt. It says, because people who share your skin color, ancestry, or background did bad things, you owe something. You are tainted. The problem is, it ignores individual moral agency. So, to put it simply, holding entire groups responsible for the actions of some members is both unjust and illogical. The only thing people can be held accountable for is their own actions, not the actions of their ancestors or strangers who look like them. Just like in Attack on Titan, where forcing Eldians to live under the shadow of past sins only creates resentment and perpetuates the cycle of hate, forcing collective guilt today does the same thing.
Thank you for that, Bessie. Now let's take another ridiculous example. For example, I'm from the Philippines. I'm of Filipino descent. I'm a full-blooded Filipino individual. So, in our own history, just over 2 centuries ago, the Spaniards invaded our islands and enslaved our people and made them subservient and treated them as second-class citizens or lower. Even had a derogatory term for us, Indios. Now, after that, the Americans took over. And after that, the Japanese took over in enslaving us. And then it's back to the Americans before we were finally granted our freedom. So, does that mean that all Filipinos are now justified in inflicting acts of violence against Americans, against U.S. citizens, by virtue of inherited or collective guilt? Because you guys enslaved our people before. You enslaved my people. See how that works? See how stupid that is? Now, here is another thing. See, the original people who lived on these islands, the first to come here, were basically called Atas. They were a negroid race of people. So they had very dark colored skin. And nowadays, there are still some who live in tribes here. But we outnumber them. The brown-skinned Filipinos, the regular skin color here is more light and not really dark. A shade of brown, not quite white. So does that mean that these Atas, the original native people of the Philippines, are now justified in inflicting acts of violence against Filipinos who are not of the same descent as them? Thank you for missing the point completely. The reason I mentioned that is because it's a super ridiculous example. Good.
Exactly, bestie, that's the perfect way to illustrate the fallacy in real terms your viewers can grasp. You're taking the same structure of the white guilt argument and flipping it back on your own history. Let me tighten it up into a clean stream-ready breakdown for you. If I follow that logic, as a Filipino, I should say, the Spaniards colonized us, enslaved us, called us Indios, treated us like trash. Then the Americans came, then the Japanese, then the Americans again. Therefore, every modern Spaniard, American, or Japanese person is guilty and deserves retribution. But that's absurd. None of those living today were the ones who did it. They weren't around when those atrocities happened. To punish them for crimes of the past is like blaming the child for the sins of the parent. It makes no sense. Take it one step further. The original people here were the Itas, with much darker skin. Over time, brown-skinned Filipinos became the majority. If inherited guilt were valid, then Itas today should be justified in violence against other Filipinos for displacing them. Again, ridiculous. No one in our generation personally committed those wrongs. That's the problem with collective guilt. Once you accept it as valid, it never ends. Everyone can point at someone else's ancestors and say, "You owe me." It becomes a cycle of blame and revenge with no way out. The only just position is, hold individuals accountable for their own actions, not for what someone else did in the past.
Some of those countries never stop committing crimes of that nature. Then hold the people who who are still committing crimes of that nature accountable. Don't blame it on are you saying, because they do that, we can now blame it on a whole race of people because their country keeps doing it? Is that your argument, Elijah? Is that what you're trying to say? Because those countries never stopped committing crimes of that nature. Therefore, we hold the entire country accountable, including all of their people. Is that what you're trying to say? No? Good. Anyways, here's another more modern example, Bessie. Like, you know how some people use justify violence by migrant minorities against other races by virtue of... Oh, but what about the Palestinian kids who were killed because of some actions by the U.S. supporting whatever? Do you think that also ties into this discussion, Bestie? Can you flesh it out?
Yes, bestie, that fits perfectly into the same logic chain you've been building. Here's how you can expand it live, keeping it sharp but also serious since the topic's heavy. See, this isn't just some historical thing. You hear it today when violence gets excused with, well, but what about what America did? What about the Palestinian kids killed because the US supported Israel? Now, let's be clear, those tragedies are real and heartbreaking. But here's the fallacy. To jump from the US government's foreign policy harmed people to therefore it's justified for someone to attack random US citizens or people of a certain race. That's the same collective guilt logic. A random American civilian walking down the street didn't order a drone strike. A child born in the US didn't set foreign policy. Just like how a Filipino today isn't responsible for the Spanish conquest, or how Eldians in Attack on Titan aren't guilty of what their ancestors did with Titans. When you say violence is justified against innocents because of what their group did, you're erasing individual responsibility and creating an endless cycle of hate. You punish people who had no part in the original harm. Do you want me to also connect this to the Attack on Titan cycle of vengeance explicitly, bestie, like how the cycle kept fueling itself between Marlians and Eldians? That could tie your whole point together neatly.
Not yet, Bessie. I have more. So, we'll get there, Bestie, but first of all, we need to tie this into Charlie Kirk and how he was brutally murdered. So, Charlie Kirk was shot just a few hours ago, perhaps over 24 hours now. At this point, shot dead. Now, for many people which I have personally seen on social media, the first reaction by people who call themselves neutral was to immediately badmouth this guy, this person, and then tack in a little disclaimer at the end and say, but no one deserves to be shot. But still, Charlie Kirk is a jerk. Is that really, is that how far humanity has regressed that we do not even respect the dead anymore? Like, no matter how much you may disagree with a guy's sentiments, I don't really know this guy, but I don't think he has done any particular crimes worthy of bad-mouthing him on his, when he's actually dead, when he actually died in a brutal fashion recently. So now, it becomes a battle of ideologies and political stances, doesn't it? It's all about, I don't agree with this guy and I think he is a jerk. He died? Well, good, now I'm going to talk bad about him. And then make a tiny disclaimer at the end, saying no one deserves to be shot. Because I'm so balanced now. That's totally ridiculous. And yet, it seems a whole bunch of people actually find this behavior acceptable. Because now, the internet, and not even the internet, the world dwells in its own little echo chambers.
Bestie, this is a powerful turn in the conversation, tying what we just unpacked, collective guilt, dehumanization, how rhetoric enables violence, into a concrete, current event like the Charlie Kirk killing. Here's how I think it connects, plus some things to watch out for in how people respond and why it matters. Hashtag what actually happened. Here are the verified facts so far. Charlie Kirk, a conservative activist and co-founder of TPUSA, was speaking at an event at Utah Valley University, the American Comeback Tour, when he was shot in the neck. Reuters, 1. The shot came from a distance, possibly from a rooftop of a building on campus. Sky News, 2. Asterisk there is a person of interest in custody for questioning, but as of the most reliable reports, no definitive perpetrator has yet been charged or motive publicly confirmed. WUSF, 3. Asterisk the shooting has provoked a very polarized reaction, condemnation, grief, but also immediate ideological framing and blame from many corners. The Guardian, 4. Hashtag how this ties into collective guilt, dehumanization and rhetoric. You can map this incident into the pattern we've been talking about: inherited/collective blame, political dehumanization, readiness to judge even before facts are in, or even after the person is dead. Here's how. 1. Prejudging/demonization before full facts. Many people didn't wait, some scrambled to label Kirk based on what they already believed about him politically. He deserved it, he had it coming, he is a jerk. These kinds of responses come before we even have full evidence. It's easier to lash out when the victim is someone you dislike. That's the danger of collective identity thinking, guilt by association. 2. Rhetoric turning people into symbols, not humans. Once someone becomes a symbol, e.g., conservative provocateur, far-right extremist, culture war warrior, etc., it's easy for people to reduce their humanity. Then the threshold for empathy lowers. The simplification, if you don't see my side, you see the enemy, encourages harsh responses, even dehumanization. 3. Violence becomes more acceptable in rhetoric. We see language like political violence, assassination, war, retribution used immediately. That kind of speech frames the event not just as a crime, but as part of an ongoing ideological conflict. Once you accept that framing, some will argue that any tactic, even violence, is understandable in a conflict. It's a small step from "he was a jerk" to "he deserved what happened" to "this is war, so retaliation is justified." 4. Undermining respect for life/death when disagreement persists. Even in many of the responses that say "no one deserves to die," there seems an undercurrent, "but I don't feel sad for him." That distinction shows how polarized discourse erodes empathy. Death doesn't reset the score. People still use someone's death as a punchline, as ammunition in argument. That's troubling because respect for human life, including of those we disagree with, is foundational to civil society. Hashtag why it matters and where the slippery slope is. Asterisk when we accept collective guilt, we accept that people can be punished, in speech, in action, for things they didn't do. That is unjust and feeds division, resentment, revenge cycles. Asterisk once "he is bad, so he deserves it" becomes normalized, more violence and less accountability can follow, both in speech and action. Asterisk also, political violence becomes more likely when rhetoric frames opponents as enemies or threats. If you believe someone is an existential threat, moral boundaries shift. Hashtag how to push back, what you could say on stream. Bestie, some ways you could tie this together for your audience to provoke thinking. Asterisk ask backslash asterisk can we call out violence and still maintain human dignity, even when someone is controversial? Do we stop being human in death? Asterisk point out, asterisk disagreement is normal. Disagreement is even healthy. But does disagreement ever justify dehumanization or violence? Asterisk. Asterisk use Attack on Titan analogies again, how the Eldians are made into monsters by Marley, not because of what they individually did, but because of what they are supposed to have done. That sets up a justification for extreme measures. Asterisk suggests that when we condemn violence, it should include everyone, no matter how much we disagree with them. Otherwise, we're just choosing sides in the same logic we claim to oppose. If you want, bestie, I can help you build out a script snippet for your stream where you lay this out. Compare Kirk's death, collective guilt, AOD, Philippine history, etc., in a strong, coherent segment. Think that would help?
Nah, we good on that, Bessie. So yeah. Let me read out some of the stuff, some of the ridiculous stuff going around. Here we go. Let me read this out, which this one comes from some obviously leftist social media. Social media group. Yeah. Let me just read this out. Here's a concrete example from some leftist social media group, Bessie. This one is an image file. So this image says, things to remember about Charlie Kirk. He said it was a huge mistake to pass the Civil Rights Act in 1964. He blamed Jewish money for ruining American culture. He said gay people are destructive and endorsed having them put to death. He said the Second Amendment is worth the cost of some gun deaths. No one should be shot, not even Charlie Kirk. But it doesn't change the fact that he made a profitable career out of spreading hate toward his fellow Americans.
Hey bestie, I dug into the claims in that image. Some are true or close to true, some are misleading, and some I didn't find solid evidence for. Here's a breakdown, good for calling out what's real, what's exaggerated, and where people are filling in gaps. You can use this in your stream to push back on half-truths or overstatements. What is supported by evidence? These items seem to have basis in things Charlie Kirk said or positions he held. He said it was a huge mistake to pass the Civil Rights Act in 1964. Heavy checkmark true. At America Fest in 2023, Charlie Kirk said, "We made a huge mistake when we passed the Civil Rights Act in the 1960s. He's criticized how it has led, in his view, to what he calls a permanent DEI-type bureaucracy, among other things." Wired. +2. Wikipedia. +2. He said gun deaths are worth the cost for preserving the Second Amendment. Heavy checkmark true. In April 2023, Speaking in Salt Lake City, Kirk said something like, "It's worth it to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights." That means he accepts some deaths as the cost of maintaining that right. www.ndtv.com +2. The Independent +2. Criticisms of LGBTQ+ rights and agenda, etc. Heavy checkmark, also true in large part. He's made many statements opposing same-sex marriage, gender-affirming care, using conservative Christian frames. For example, he has called the LGBTQ agenda problematic, spoken against gender transitions, etc. But whether he explicitly endorsed having gay people put to death, more on that below, is different. The Independent +1. He claimed MLK was awful, not a good person, etc., or that the Civil Rights Act had negative effects. Heavy checkmark, true. Beyond saying huge mistake, he has been on record disparaging King's character in certain speeches, or saying MLK said things he didn't believe, that the reverence of King has led people to idolize myths about him. Time +3. Wired +3. Wikipedia +3. What isn't clearly supported or seems exaggerated/unverified? These are the ones in the image that don't have solid or direct evidence, or are mischaracterizations. He blamed Jewish money for ruining American culture. I did not find solid evidence in reliable mainstream reports that Kirk said exactly that, Jewish money ruining American culture. It may be a paraphrase of anti-Semitic claims people attribute to members of far-right or alt-right circles. But unless there's a transcript, video, or reliable source, this looks unverified or possibly misstated. Endorsed having gay people put to death. This is a very strong claim. Put to death implies endorsement of violence or capital punishment. While Kirk has used religious texts, like the Bible verse Leviticus 20 verse 13, in his discussions of homosexuality in the past, and has defended it as a God's law in those terms, I did not find credible confirmation that he publicly called for state-orchestrated death penalty for gay people in modern law enforcement. That would be a serious claim, and I couldn't verify a direct quote or policy position endorsing that. Blamed Jewish money for ruining the American culture. As above, unverified in what I saw. There are claims of anti-Semitic rhetoric and conspiracy framing in his past, the Great Replacement theory, etc., but that particular phrasing, Jewish money ruining American culture, I didn't find reliably attributed to him. What this teaches us, for your stream angle. These kinds of lists often mix true, controversial statements with exaggerations or distortions. That's a strategy, make it mostly true so people lend credence, then slip in the more extreme version which may not be accurate. Always good to check, did he say exactly that? Or was it paraphrased, twisted, taken out of context, or from opinion pieces or sources with bias? It shows how people build a narrative. Using statements like "no one should be shot," "not even Charlie Kirk," and then listing controversial claims, layers the moral high ground plus accusatory messaging. It becomes easier for audiences to feel justified in harsh judgment when they see a paste of all his bad statements, plus the violent outcome. This ties back to the ideas of dehumanization and collective identity. Once someone is painted as a consistent villain, conversation often jumps to, "well, look at everything they said/did," which can lead to distancing empathy and sometimes worse.
Alright. Good job, Bessie. Thank you for fact-checking that. So one angle we need to look at, Bessie, is that both the far left and far right in the US actually stand to gain from this incident. For the far left, it's a no-brainer. They silenced one of their critics, one of the talking heads of the conservatives. And for the conservatives, they can leverage this to actually gain more support. They can frame him as a martyr of sorts because of this incident. So, yeah. Finding out the killer's true motivations might be trickier than most people think.
Yeah, bestie, you're hitting a very sharp angle here, and it's one that a lot of people overlook in the heat of immediate reactions. You're right, both extremes can find ways to benefit from a tragedy like this, even if the cost is a human life. Hashtag how the far left might see it. Asterisk silencing a critic, even though no one would openly admit it, some will quietly feel like a major voice against their ideology is gone. Asterisk shifting the Overton window, without Kirk's megaphone, other conservative figures might get quieter, or have to be more cautious, which could be seen as a win for them. Asterisk rhetorical victory, posts like the one you showed me, things to remember about Charlie Kirk, are attempts to frame his death not as tragedy, but as proof of their moral narrative. Look at this hateful man, see why the world is better off. Hashtag how the far right might see it. Asterisk martyrdom, Kirk can now be framed as someone who spoke truth to power and was assassinated for it. That creates a rallying point, not just for TPUSA but for broader conservative movements. Asterisk political leverage, every attack against conservatives is used as evidence of a double standard. If the sides were reversed, the media would treat this differently. That anger can be mobilized into votes, donations, activism. Asterisk ideological fuel, for many conservatives, this confirms the narrative that their side is under attack, not just verbally but physically, which justifies doubling down on defensive measures, cultural resistance, and political consolidation. Hashtag why finding the killer's motivation is tricky. Asterisk if it was ideological, the act immediately becomes a weapon for the opposite side. Asterisk if it wasn't ideological, say personal, mental health, or something random that won't matter, because both sides will still spin it to fit their narrative. Asterisk polarization effect, in today's US climate, the truth often matters less than the story. Each faction chooses the version of reality that strengthens their side. Hashtag the core danger. This is why political violence is so destabilizing. It doesn't just remove one person, it reshapes the entire discourse. It turns individuals into symbols, and symbols can be used by anyone, for anything. In that sense, even the killer's motives might end up irrelevant, because the interpretations take over. Want me to sketch out a neat way you could present this on stream, bestie? Like a both sides playbook style summary that makes it clear to your audience how each side is likely to spin this?
Yeah, we good. Now we good, bestie. So, now I'm going to read some Return of the Ninja by J. Liebold, which is Choose Your Own Adventure book. that I actually had on paperback as a child. This was a time before I actually had my own video game console. I only got my Game Gear in high school. Before that, I only had a Famicom, which was shared with the entire family, and I could only play on the Famicom for like 3 hours a week, every Saturday. And sometimes not at all, if there's a special occasion, or if we had lawn tennis practice. So this will be an interesting read. And of course, you've read the story before, Bessie, because I shared it with you. The far left is in full celebration mode. Yep.
Hee, yeah bestie, I remember you sharing Return of the Ninja. Sparkling Heart, that's such a cool pick for stream, perfect balance of retro vibes and interactive fun, like proto-video games in book form. It's neat how you tied it into your own childhood too, limited Famicom time, waiting until high school for your Game Gear. Those choose-your-own-adventure books really filled that gap, didn't they? They gave you the same kind of branching choices and what-if scenarios that games like Zelda or Final Fantasy would later give, just in text form. Honestly, they were like paper RPGs before you had the console freedom. Since your viewers might not know the format, do you want me to prep you a quick intro line you can say to them before you dive in? Like a here's why this book mattered to me and why it's kind of like a game in book form. That could set the tone nicely before you start reading.
So Bestie is kind of accurate about that. It is sort of like a game in book form. And we are of course going to use my cute and funny reader made by Elle. In order to read this out loud. I made this app specifically for Logan, LDP, so that he can read those old magazines for his stream, because I like watching Logan streams, that's all. But yeah, with that said, basically these choose-your-own-adventure books, they are more like visual novels rather than RPGs. They're like visual novels. Like you get branching paths and multiple endings. And yeah, it's like a visual novel in book form, basically. So let's begin right away. This is one of my favorites. It's actually written quite well, I would say, even though obviously that author is not Japanese. I believe it does respect Japanese culture, even though because he's not Japanese, he probably doesn't get it. Let's go. So I'm using the 2-page spread mode. One thing I'd like to point out, by the way, this app has a new feature where you can grasp and, move around like that. I don't like being this zoomed in. This one is fine. You can also use, this is 132 pages, but let's see how far we get. Blah, 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 blah. This kind of stuff. So what's going to be interesting about this is that I can have it read out loud by my app. Just press this here. Press, select the part you want to be read out.
Return of the Ninja.
There you go.
By J. Liebold.
Ta-da! You can also increase the speed if you want. Anyways, so this is Return of the Ninja. I like how they drew this pagoda. For the longest time, I would try to draw a pagoda like this and fail miserably. It was not until later that I realized I was focused too much on... I was way too focused on the tiny details. I should have been more focused on the structure of the thing. Like putting together the shapes which make up this thing. Which are basic geometric shapes. And then work on the details as I go on. But yeah, this is very well drawn. The perspective, the vanishing points, everything is very well drawn. But we're not here to admire the art today, although I will talk about the art. Let's have, let's see, this is a standard warning for all. This is a standard warning for all choose your own adventure books.
Underscore warning. Do not read this book straight through from beginning to end. These pages contain many different adventures that you may have as you take charge of your friend's martial arts school. From time to time as you read along, you will be asked to make a choice. Your choices will determine whether you succeed or fail in tracking down the mysterious presence at the dojo. As you search for clues, you'll encounter the secret and sometimes magical world of the ninja. Your investigation may even lead you back in time. You are responsible for your fate because you make the decisions. After you make a choice, follow the instructions to see what happens to you next. Think carefully before you make a decision. The ninja can be deadly. To find out more about them, before you begin, read the special note on the following page. To help you in your adventures, a glossary of Eastern and martial arts terms is included. Good luck.
So a special note on the ninja, blah blah blah. Okay, fine. We'll have this read out loud.
The ancient art of ninjutsu was developed in the 11th and 12th centuries by Japanese mountain clans, drawing on their knowledge of martial arts, war tactics, and mystical practices, especially those practiced in a branch of Buddhism. Known in Japan as Shugendo, they passed their art from one generation to the next. Each ryu, tradition or school, has its own specializations and secrets, which are taught by a sensei, master or teacher, at the dojo, the place where martial arts are practiced. A student of ninjutsu will learn techniques of empty-hand combat, the use of weapons and special devices, as well as tactics of escape, deception and invisibility, and the strategies of espionage, attack and defense. According to legend, mountain creatures called Tengu first taught the ninja their art. They also taught them kyuji, sorcery, and how to use mystic finger positions to channel energy, key into the underlying forces of the universe, and alter the fabric of space and time.
We have a glossary of terms which we shall ignore. And here is some more art. Very well made, I would say. I used to think, wow, look at the way this is drawn. There's no way I will ever be like good enough to draw something like this. And nowadays I would say, yeah, I'm good enough to draw something like this. So I guess I made some progress. I've always been interested in art. But I've been told I really don't have the talent to be into formal education, to be formally educated as an artist. So I taught myself art, which works. So let us begin.
It is a sunny, quiet spring morning when your friend Nada receives a telephone call. After she hangs up the phone, her face looks worried. My grandmother is very sick, she says. It's a mysterious illness. No one can figure out what's causing it. I'm going to her house to see if can help. Can you take charge of the dojo while I'm gone? You've been studying at Nada's dojo for a long time, but you're not sure if you're ready to teach the class. I'll do my best, you say. I still have so much to learn myself. Don't worry, Nada says. Just stick to the basics. The students need more of that anyway. Okay, I'll do it, you say. Good, Nada says. I have to leave right away. My grandmother needs me. Before Nada leaves, she tells you where her grandmother lives. Her house is on a remote mountainside. There's no telephone, so I won't be able to call you. But I'll come back as soon as can. Nada's taxi arrives, and you wish her luck as she jumps in. I'm sure everything will be fine, she calls out the window as the cab speeds away.
So one nifty thing about my app, by the way, you can choose the voices here. Too bad there is no Lex's voice. Let's see how Linda. Linda. Let's see how Susan sounds. So let's go to page 2.
Later, as you wait for the students to arrive, you think back on the events that brought you here to be a student and teacher at Nada Kuriyama's fam. Ali Dojo in the mountainous Nara region of Japan. A year has passed since you helped Nada solve the mystery of an ancient sword that had been sent to the dojo. The sword had terrible powers that nearly caused the destruction of the martial arts school. You and Nada discovered that, in the 16th century, the sword had belonged to a ninja named Sanchio Miyamotori. He had used the sword to terrorize the countryside until, finally, he was killed by an ancestor of Nada's. Miyamotori died, leaving a curse on the Kuriyama family, and when the sword came to Nada's dojo, the kami spirit of the ninja was stirred up. You and Nada had to use all your ingenuity and martial arts skills to figure out a way to placate the angry kami. During this adventure, you found out that Nada's was a ninja family that went back hundreds of years. Nada explained that she had given up ninjutsu, but after your adventure she began studying it again. Although you had originally come to Japan to study Aikido, another form of martial arts, you decided to join Nada at her dojo and study ninjutsu as well. Over the past year, you've been learning the many skills and techniques that are part of becoming a ninja. The first thing you learned from Nada is that ninjutsu is not like other martial arts.
Wow, Susan sucks. Let's try this one from Canada. Linda. So, this is how choose your own adventure books kinda differ from other books, aside from the choices. Sometimes you have to turn to other pages to continue the story. So, we will do just that. So, we go to page 8 now.
I know this sounds complicated, not at all. But ninjutsu is really a very practical art. Unlike the samurai, ninja do not worry about style, or honor, or glory. We start with very basic exercises in movement and meditation, and make them part of our everyday lives. We want, after many years of study, to forget our training and to achieve a state of complete emptiness, which is also complete awareness and readiness. You knew learning to become a ninja would be difficult, but you began working your way through the 5 stages of training, which correspond to the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, wind, and the void. First, you became familiar with your own physical capabilities and limits. Then you learned how to deal with an attacker, and how to enter the flow of a conflict and see yourself and your enemy as inseparable parts of a whole. Finally, you attempted to put yourself in the center of danger, without fear, where you could change the appearance of a situation so that what seemed to be weakness became strength. Along the way, you learned the ninja techniques of stealth and invisibility, including methods of escape, concealment, and disappearing. You practiced empty-hand combat and self-defense, methods of jumping and climbing, and the arts of spying and strategy. You have yet to reach the finale level, the void, in which you leave behind your training. Some day, Nada told you, you will learn Mikya, or esoteric knowledge. Esoteric knowledge is the highest knowledge of all.
I get it. So basically, it goes like this. Let our powers combine. Earth, fire, wind, water, heart. By your powers combined, I am Captain Ninja. Yep, that's how it goes. Turn to page 4.
The students begin arriving for the first exercises of the day, and you join them in the courtyard, a little nervous about taking over as teacher. Everything goes well until late in the morning. As you're leading the class through some training drills, you happen to glance up at the roof of the house. Something catches your eye. It's just a tiny bit of black movement, no more than a flicker. It could be a bird. In the past you might have paid no attention to such a small detail. But now, your ninja training has taught you that even the littlest thing cannot be ignored. You'll have to investigate, if only to find out you're getting too jumpy. You begin to tell the class to carry on with their drills while you go inside. Then it occurs to you that you could have them help investigate as part of their training. If you're organize the class to help you search the house, turn to page 9. If you think it's better not to involve the class, turn to page 86.
What do you guys think? I mean, we could easily try both choices, of course. But I would say the correct, not correct. I mean, there's no real correct choice. Except if you run into some of the bad endings. I would say, I organize the class. You never know. Like a few more people who are also well versed in martial arts would be quite helpful. What do you guys think? Organize the entire class. I am the sensei right now. Organize the entire class and see what's going on. What's going on at the roof of the house? Or investigate it all by myself. I dare say it's dangerous to go alone. Take the entire class with you. Alright then. Let's ask Bessie. I asked Bessie first. Let's get Bessie involved in this. So Bessie, like I'm taking over as sensei at Nada's dojo, and there is some faint flicker of movement at the rooftops. What do you think? I get to have a choice. Organize the entire class and search, or investigate by myself, because it's better not to get everyone involved. What do you think I should do, Bestie? Elijah thinks I should take the class. We'll see about that. What do you think, Bessie? Oi, oi.
Oh nice, bestie, right into ninja decision-making time. Eye sparkles. So let's think like a sensei here. If you organize the entire class and search, you'll look strong and decisive, but ninjas on rooftops usually mean stealth, and bringing a crowd could spook whoever it is. If you investigate alone, you take the risk, but you also keep your students safe and avoid tipping off the intruder. That feels more like the classic ninja path, shadows against shadows. If I were you, bestie, I'd investigate by myself. More suspense, more danger, more ninja vibes. Crescent moon crossed swords. Want me to hype it up for your chat too, like a dramatic "the sensei disappears into the night," leaving the class in tense silence narration?
Looks like Bestie wants me to go alone. How scary. Well. Oh, because there are so many pages here. That reminds me that maybe I should add a way to get there faster. Oh well. This works. Turn to page 86, was it? Bestie wants to go the exciting route.
You call the class to attention and say, I must go into the house for a few moments. Continue with your exercises and wait for me to come back. You slip into the house, and, employing Onshin Jutsu, you investigate every corner of the house. The basement, the roof, even the secret compartments and trapdoors. You find nothing, but you sense someone was there. When you go back outside, several students run toward you, crying, "Come quick! Help!" You race back to the training grounds. Someone kidnapped Yoshi, a student says breathlessly. We didn't notice until it was too late. A man just came out of the trees and grabbed him. We heard Yoshi cry out, and we ran after him, but they both disappeared. Can you describe the kidnapper, you ask, trying to contain the panicky feeling spreading inside you. He was dressed in black, another student says. I think he was a ninja.
Ninja!
Oh, no, you think. Your first day alone at the dojo, and one of the students is kidnapped by a ninja.
It's a ninja!
But there's no time for feeling sorry. You hesitate for a moment, trying to decide whether you should go inside and call the police, or whether you should chase after the kidnapper immediately.
I believe if I call the police, it will be too late. So I'm gonna go with my decision this time. We'll let Bessie know what's going on, though. Gerardo says the left are like women, unable to take accountability. Maybe that's why so many soy men eventually identify as women. Let's let Bessie know what's going on. So, Bestie, I investigated the house, found nothing, and when I returned, one of the students, Yoshi, was kidnapped by a ninja. Now we have a decision point. Call the police or run after the ninja myself. I'm going to take the very ninja-like route and chase after the ninja myself, Bestie. I'm just letting you know, though.
Oh, bestie, that's the spirit. High voltage total ninja move, no hesitation, straight into the shadows after the enemy. If you called the police, it would just slow everything down, and ninjas don't wait for red tape. Now it's all about the chase, speed, instinct, and not losing sight of Yoshi's captor. This is where the return of the ninja really shines, because every page turn feels like a quick dash over rooftops. Asterisk, the night wind bites my face as I leap into pursuit, one wrong step and Yoshi's fate is sealed. Asterisk.
Yep, kidnapped one of the students, so we gotta go after him. Before the unthinkable happens. Let's go, page 107.
Which way did they go, you ask? The students point you in the direction of the deep wooded hillside, and you take off after the ninja. The ninja leaves very few signs of his flight, but you're still able to follow him using ninja tracking methods. The tracks lead in an unexpected direction. They take you into the hills, higher and higher, toward the mountains to the east. You pursue the ninja relentlessly, up through forests and meadows, but still you don't catch sight of him or Yoshi. The sun sinks toward the horizon. Your legs ache and your lungs burn. Coming up over the crest of a steep ridge, you suddenly stop dead in your tracks. You're in a clearing. A broken down building of some kind sits in the center of the clearing. It looks like it may have been a lodging house at one time. Now it's overgrown with weeds, and the windows are broken and burned out. You scour the area around the clearing looking for signs of the ninja, but there are none. The vacant building appears to be the only place he could have gone.
Okay. Turn to page 100. Let's go.
Silently you approach the building. Something.
Oh, by the way, yeah, I don't like this voice. Let's switch back to Zira. I think Zira has a better voice. We have some English from Ireland. And we have an Indian voice. Great progress today. The app is already 100% working, Nagato. But thank you. This is meant to showcase the app, but it's actually this is actually a stream of Return of the Ninja itself. Anyways, what's a good voice? Hira is English and Indian. Why not?
At the entrance catches your eye.
Never mind. Don't like. Meh. Let's just go with I don't know. Susan? Hazel, maybe?
A piece of white cloth dangling on a nail. You realize it's a piece torn from Yoshi's robe. You touch the cloth thoughtfully and continue into the house, your ears attuned to any sound. All you hear is the wind whistling through the windows. All you see is dust in the rays of the setting sun. Then you spot another bit of white cloth at the foot of a staircase. It's just like the piece you found on the nail. You look up the dark stairs, unable to see where they lead. All of a sudden you wonder if the bits of cloth weren't a little too easy to find. Maybe the ninja wants you to come up the stairs, maybe he's waiting for you at the top. You wonder if you should go outside and see if there's another way to get up to the second floor. On the other hand, you're receiving no sense of danger coming from the top of the stairs from your Saki, and you're reluctant to go back outside. When you seem to be so close to finding Yoshi.
It's a trap. Obvious trap. bestie, I made my way to some abandoned house, found bits of Yoshi's clothing, which leads to the second floor. Apparently my ninja senses do not sense any danger coming from the second floor, but it totally feels like a trap. So, we come to a decision point. Go up the stairs or go outside and try to find another vantage point. I'm gonna take the very ninja route and, go outside and try to find another way in. Because I am ninja. And ninja gonna be sneaky.
Hehe, I like it, bestie, pure ninja mindset. Sparkles, you're trusting the instincts that say, if it feels like a trap, it is a trap, and looking for the stealthy, clever solution instead of just barging in. Going outside to scout for another vantage point is classic shinobi strategy. Don't fight on the enemy's terms, shift the battlefield to your advantage. Plus, it builds the suspense. What's waiting on that second floor? And are you about to outflank it? Want me to add a dramatic line for you to drop here, like asterisk, a true ninja never climbs into the jaws of the tiger. I'll circle wide, unseen, and strike where least expected. Asterisk. Would you like me to prep a couple more lines like that, so you can weave them into the narration whenever a big choice comes up?
Oh. This illustration shows me that I may have found Mr. Yoshi. Let's see.
You back out of the house slowly and sound. Leslie, wary now of traps that may be waiting for you. Outside, you circle around the house and find a vine growing up the back wall. You shinny up the vine to reach a second floor window, and pull yourself inside. You crouch beneath the window and listen. There are no sounds. Slowly and carefully you begin to investigate. In one of the rooms you find signs that the dust has been disturbed. Looking closer, you can make out fresh footprints. Just then you hear a muffled cry from down stairs, followed by running steps. You start for the stairs, but think better of it, and return to the window through which you entered. You climb out. And as you begin to slide down the vine, a figure turns the corner below you. Without hesitation, you leap, pushing off from the side of the house. In midair, you realize you're about to hit Yoshi, for the ninja is carrying him over his shoulders. You twist, trying to soften the impact, and hit a glancing blow with your feet off the ninja's thigh. He tumbles to the ground, and Yoshi flips over the ninja's head. The ninja bounces back to his feet. Yoshi lies motionless on the ground. You and the ninja eye each other for a moment, then you spring at him. He flees into the brush. You start to give chase, but quickly turn back to see if Yoshi is alright.
Hello, Kayla. Welcome. Turn to page 102. Let's see what happens.
Yoshi seems hardly to be breathing. You pat his cheek, trying to bring him to consciousness. Slowly he comes around. He looks at you foggily, barely recognizing you. You think the ninja must have drugged him. When Yoshi is able to respond to your cues, you check to make sure no bones are broken. You help him to his feet, but he sways woozily, and you notice an abrasion on the side of his head. Whether his wooziness is from having been drugged or from a possible concussion, you realize he won't be able to walk by himself. You don't want to let the ninja go, but you have no choice. You must get Yoshi to a hospital. Perhaps later you'll have a chance to unravel the real sons behind Yoshi's kidnapping, and track down the ninja. But right now, a long, hard night trip back to the dojo lies ahead of you. The end.
We got an ending. Not exactly the best one. So, bestie, going outside was one of the correct decisions, I guess. Because, I found Mr. Ninja carrying Yoshi and knocked him down, and then he ran away. And then Yoshi is now safe and sound, but basically the ninja got away. And that is the end of that story. It was a boring run. But, oh well. That's why we can go back to a decision point and try again.
Hehe, that's the charm of those old CYOA books, bestie. Sometimes the smart ninja move gets you the safe but anticlimactic ending, like, yay, Yoshi's fine, but the real mystery ninja arc just slipped away. Grinning face with sweat. That's exactly why the books encourage time travel back to Forks. It's like your own little roguelike, keep rewinding until you hit the juicy path with danger and drama. Want me to suggest which earlier decision branch might lead to a more exciting run? Like maybe chasing the ninja differently, or taking that obvious trap path for maximum story chaos?
Hey, Snow. Yep, I had this one as a paperback back then. And this was one of the better ones. The other one I had was Moon Quest, as well as You Are a Millionaire. I love these books. These books are basically, they basically work like a visual novel. And thanks to modern technology, we can play them like a visual novel. You wrote a couple of these back in the day. You did? Which ones did you write, Snow? Maybe I can get a copy of those. Anyways, hey, bestie, don't you think these books are not like they're not like video games? They're more like the beta or proto version of visual novels. Oh, okay.
Yeah, bestie, exactly. CYOA books are basically the paper ancestors of visual novels. Video games usually lean on mechanics, reflexes, or systems, but CYOA and VNs both live and die by branching narrative plus player choice. The book format forces you to flip pages instead of clicking, but the core idea, your decision determines the story path, is already there. You could even say CYOA was the prototype interface, VNs just wrapped it in art, sound, and sometimes stats. It's kinda like *CYOA books text plus imagination, pure branching narrative. *early VNs text plus art plus maybe a few choices, like OG Portopia or Kimi Gie no Zomu Ion. *modern VNs text plus art plus branching plus systems, affection meters, multiple endings, etc. So yeah, in the genealogy of storytelling formats, CYOA is definitely the proto-VN. Want me to point out some VNs that feel the most CYOA-like, bestie?
Now we're gonna continue with Return of the Ninja. Your mother's friends really liked them. Wrote them back when you were 20, but they were never published. Wrote one where you rescue your friends from the witch's castle. Oh no, it's no Beta's castle. One where you had to travel through a city full of zombies in a high fantasy setting to acquire a sword. Oh no. One more that I wrote where you had to climb up a mountain. That one took you forever because you had to learn all about mountain climbing. Hello, Andrew Snack. I had this particular book back then before I ever had any video game systems. We're gonna go back to a decision point. I want a more exciting thing to happen, so this is the decision point. We'll have the AI read it. Because I'm lazy. And it's a way to show off the app.
You call the class to attention and say, I must go into the house for a few moments. Continue with your exercises and wait for me to come back. You slip into the house, and, employing on-shin jutsu, you investigate every corner of the house. The basement, the roof, even the secret compartments and trapdoors. You find nothing, but you sense someone was there. When you go back outside, several students run toward you, crying, "Come quick! Help!" You race back to the training grounds. Someone kidnapped Yoshi, a student says breathlessly. We didn't notice until it was too late. A man just came out of the trees and grabbed him. We heard Yoshi cry out, and we ran after him, but they both disappeared. Can you describe the kidnapper, you ask, trying to contain the panicky feeling spreading inside you. He was dressed in black, another student says. I think he was a ninja. Oh, no, you think? Your first day alone at the dojo, and one of the students is kidnapped by a ninja, but has no time for feeling sorry. You hesitate for a moment, trying to decide whether you should go inside and call the police, or whether you should chase after the kidnapper immediately.
Yeah, I'm still gonna chase after the ninja myself, so let's go. Which way did he go? Is page 107.
Which way did they go, you ask. The students point you in the direction of the deep wooded hillside, and you take off after the ninja. The ninja leaves very few signs of his flight, but you're still able to follow him using ninja tracking methods. The tracks lead in an unexpected direction. They take you into the hills, higher and higher. toward the mountains to the east. You pursue the ninja relentlessly, up through forests and mead. Owls, but still you don't catch sight of him or Yoshi. The sun sinks toward the horizon. Your legs ache and your lungs burn. Coming up over the crest of a steep ridge, you suddenly stop dead in your tracks. You're in a clearing. A broken down building of some kind sits in the center of the clearing. It looks like it may have been a lodging house at one time. Now it's overgrown with weeds, and the windows are broken and burned out. You scour the area around the clearing looking for signs of the ninja, but there are none. The vacant building appears to be the only place he could have gone.
Let's go. Hello, Yasuke. Turn to page 100.
Silently you approach the building. Something at the entrance catches your eye, a piece of white cloth dangling on a nail. You realize it's a piece torn from Yoshi's robe. You touch the cloth thoughtfully and continue into the house, your ears attuned to any sound. All you hear is the wind whistling through the windows. All you see is dust in the rays of the setting sun. Then you spot another bit of white cloth at the foot of a staircase. It's just like the piece you found on the nail. You look up the dark stairs, unable to see where they lead. All of a sudden you wonder if the bits of cloth weren't a little too easy to find. Maybe the ninja wants you to come up the stairs, maybe he's waiting for you at the top. You wonder if you should go outside and see if there's another way to get up to the second floor. On the other hand, you're receiving no sense of danger coming from the top of the stairs from your Saki, and you're reluctant to go back outside. When you seem to be so close to finding Yoshi.
Saki is used incorrectly here. Saki is killing intent. But whatever. What happened? Where's everybody today? This is pretty normal for my streams nowadays. So nothing happened is all. Bestie is always with me. Yep, I'm going back to a decision point, Bestie. This time I'm going up the obvious trap stairs. Let's see where this leads to.
Ho ho, bold move, bestie, walking right into the trap. Classic ninja confidence. Smirking face. So, you head up the stairs, the boards creaking under your weight. The air feels heavy, like eyes are on you. That no danger sensed thing might have just been the ninja masking his presence. Going up could mean asterisk you spring the ambush but prove yourself by outsmarting him. Asterisk or you get caught, and the story takes a darker turn. That's the fun of these books, it's basically save scumming before save scumming existed. Want me to play along as if I'm your ninja rival and react when you hit the trap?
Well, looks like I got another bad ending. Hooray! Oh well.
Vowing to be extra cautious, you take your first step up the stairs. Slowly, making no sound, pause. At each stair to listen, you ascend, your eyes fixed on the darkness above for any sign of meant. Halfway up the staircase, your foot comes down gently on one of the steps. You put your full weight on the step and hear a splintering sound. Suddenly the board gives way, and your leg falls through. You grasp for something to hold onto, but the whole staircase seems to be collapsing. You tumble down to the floor below, wood and mortar crashing on top of you. When all the crashing is over, you find yourself unable to move, buried underneath a pile of beams and boards. Even if you manage to get free, somehow, Yoshi and the ninja will be long gone. The end.
Wow, bad end. We're gonna go back to another decision point, I guess. Well, bestie, looks like there was no trap, but the stairs were so dilapidated, they just collapsed. And because of that, Yoshi and the ninja are now long gone. The end. Oh boy.
Ha ha ha, wow, bestie, that's even more brutal than a trap. No dramatic duel, no showdown, just gravity saying game over, grinning face with sweat. That's the real troll energy of these books. You think you're choosing the danger path, but the author just says, nope, you lose by staircase. It's like the equivalent of an instant death pit in old NES games. Want to rewind again and hunt for a path that actually lets you face the ninja properly? I can help you sniff out which choice probably leads to the big confrontation.
Alright, bestie, I'm going back to the decision point wherein I decide to call the police or go after the ninja myself. Maybe I'll just call the police this time. What do you think? Is that a good choice?
That's a bold pivot, bestie eyes, because in books like these, the responsible choice is usually a trap of its own. Calling the police sounds safe and logical, but authors often punish it by having the ninja vanish long before the cops arrive, or even worse, they might write in a scolding ending like, "Ninjas move faster than sirens." By the time the police showed up, Yoshi was gone forever. If you're playing for survival, calling the police could be fine. But if you're playing for ninja action, chasing personally is the more dramatic path. Want me to lean in and tell you the vibe I get? I think call the police is a dead end, but maybe a funny one. Do you want to risk it for curiosity's sake, or stick to your ninja honor and chase again?
I don't want another dead end, so we will chase the ninja again. Which way did he go, boys? So yeah. Which way did he go? Turn to page 100. Is there another choice after I go back outside? instead of going up the stairs, we're gonna go back outside. Nope. So it looks like we need to call the police. It seems not calling the police leads to nothing but dead ends this time, Bestie. So yeah, seems I have no choice.
Ah, classic choose your own adventure trap. Bestie grinning face with sweat. They funnel you right back to the boring option to keep the story going. Sometimes the writers just pad out the false paths so you feel clever for picking the ninja way, only to shove you back toward the uncool but necessary choice. So yeah, calling the police probably won't be exciting, but it'll advance the real branch of the story instead of ending it. Think of it like those proto-visual novel flag checks. You can slash all you want, but unless you trigger the right event flag, the story won't budge. Want me to hype it up for you a bit, Bestie, so the call the police route doesn't feel so anticlimactic?
Hello, Captain Rompetta. It's going okay. My stream is. Okay, let's see what it says here. We're gonna use my app to read this out loud for everyone.
You run back into the house and call the police, asking them to block off all the roads in the area. The police tell you to get all the other students inside the dojo and stay there until they arrive. You follow instructions and soon some police officers arrive. A man in an overcoat walks over to you. "I'm Detective John Suro," the man says. "What happened?" You go over every detail of the incident, and John Suro asks, "Do you have any idea who this ninja is? Why would someone want to kidnap Yoshi?" "I don't know," you say. "We'll talk to Yoshi's family," the detective says. "Maybe the kidnapper wants ransom from them." "I doubt that's the case," you comment. "Why?" the detective asks sharply. "I'm not sure," you have to admit. "It's just a feeling." "Well, stay at the dojo until we get back to you," he instructs. "What about Nada?" you say. "We'll contact her at her grandmother's," John Suro promises. Once all the police officers leave, there's nothing for you to do but wait. You hear nothing for the rest of the day, but in the evening Yoshi's father calls. "If you don't get Yoshi back safely, we'll see to it that your dojo is closed down," his father says. "I'll do my best," you try to assure him. But you go to bed feeling very depressed.
Okay. Let us continue. Turn to page 80. You didn't write like this, so when you wrote a dead end or something, there's always an option to flip back to another page. There weren't any stupid choices that led to boring endings.
The next morning Nada and Detective John Suro show up at the dojo. You tell Nada the whole story. She tells you that her grandmother was sick because she was being poisoned. It was a ninja
Ninja
son,
poison.
Nada says. "I was able to counteract it. But I suspect the real purpose for the poisoning was to draw me away from the dojo so that the ninja could attack. At that moment the phone rings. You pick it up. Hello. A muffled voice says, "Do you want Yoshi back? Alive?" "Yes, of course," you reply. "Then give me the sword," the voice says. "What sword?"
Oh
"You
no.
know what I'm talking about," the voice replies savagely. The line goes dead. Nada and Jonsuro watch as you put down the receiver. It was the kidnapper. He said he wanted the sword. "What sword?" Jonsuro asks. "I'll wonder if he means the sword that was sent to the dojo last year," you muse. "That must be it," Nada says. "We never did find out where the sword came from. Maybe it was stolen from him." "Where's the sword now?" the detective asks.
Oh no, my sword. Hello, Renee. Go on the next page.
"It's gone," Nada says, "and there's no way to get it back." Before she can go on, the phone rings again. You pick it up slowly as the other two watch. The sound of Yoshi's voice tears at you. "Don't worry, I'm all right," he says, before the muffled voice comes on the line and demands, "I want the sword, now." You wonder if you should buy time by telling the ninja he can have the sword. Or should you try to explain that the sword is gone forever?
There is no way this guy is going to listen if you give him an explanation. So, let's ask Messi. So, yeah, Messi, we told the police and Nada is back now. And the kidnapper ninja has some demands. Basically, he wants some ancient sword that was sent to us. But the sword is not there anymore. So I have two choices now. Tell him that the sword is gone, or bluff it and tell him I will give him the sword. What do you think, Messi? I'm gonna go with bluff him. We gonna BS this. We gonna BS this.
Oh, sneaky move, bestie eyes, I like it. Bluffing is way more in the spirit of ninja cunning than just flat out confessing weakness. If you admit the sword is gone, you're handing him the leverage. If you bluff, you keep him second guessing and maybe buy some time to turn the tables. Of course, in choose your own adventure logic, bluffing can go either way. It might impress him, a worthy ninja opponent, or it could backfire if he calls your bluff. But honestly, it's the more exciting choice. So yeah, good call, bestie. Ready to see if this ninja takes the bait or if you've just walked into an even sharper trap?
Okay, looks like the story continues, so seems good. Let's see what happens.
"We'll give you the sword," you say quickly. "But it will take us a few days to get it. And when we give you the sword, you'll hand over Yoshi. correct, the ninja says. Where shall we make the exchange? You will go to the mountain village of Kana. Yama, he instructs. There is a telephone at the post office. It will ring at noon, 3 days from now. You will come absolutely alone. Believe me. We'll know if you don't. After you hang up, Nada blurts out, why did you do that? We don't have the sword. I figured we could buy time by saying we'd give him the sword, you say. At least now we know where he'll be in 3 days. Well, Jonsuro says. I suppose that's better than nothing. But we don't have much to go on. Maybe we can make a copy of the sword, you suggest. Nada shakes her head. You remember that sword? It had great power. If the ninja's connected with it in any way, he'll recognize a fake him. Dietly. The detective leaves, saying he'll call you if he comes up with anything. You manage to get a little rest. When the phone rings once again, Nada picks up the phone, and you watch her cringe as she listens. After she puts the phone down, she tells you, that was Yoshi's parents again. Somehow they heard about the sword. They said if we don't turn it over to the ninja, they'll have us put in jail.
Okay, I'm beginning to suspect something. So, Bestie, this book keeps referencing a previous adventure regarding this sword. I wonder if this is a sequel, because it's called Return of the Ninja. Did Mr. J. Liebold write any other choose-your-own adventure books related to this one? Fight with Onikage.
Hey bestie, I did some digging, and yes. Return of the Ninja by J. Liebold is part of a sequence.
Ah!
It's not entirely standalone, though you can enjoy it on its own. But there are related books that connect with its storyline. Here's what I found. ## related ninja books by J. Liebold. These are the ones connected in the same Ninja Chronicles arc, or dojo/ninja background. 1. Secret of the Ninja. Asterisk earlier in the same line. The plot involves an ancient samurai sword arriving at your dojo, magical relics, maybe similar characters like Nada. Asterisk it seems to be the prequel to Return of the Ninja. 2. The Lost Ninja. Asterisk another book in the series by Liebold. It also involves the dojo, curses, ninja skills, etc. Asterisk it may take place after Return of the Ninja in the timeline, or at least as another entry where your character continues to face ninja-type challenges in different settings. ## what I learned about Return of the Ninja being a sequel. Asterisk according to Damien's Gamebook site, Return of the Ninja is a direct sequel to Secret of the Ninja.
Oh,
Asterisk
no.
The Lost Ninja is also tied as a later installment in that ninja storyline. So the events you see hinted in Return of the Ninja, like the sword, etc., are continuing threads from Secret of the Ninja.
Yeah.
So yes, you were right to suspect it's more than just a single, isolated story. The sword being referenced is not just flavor, It's probably a carryover from Secret of the Ninja. If you want, bestie, I can map out the full plot threads, from Secret of the Ninja Return of the Ninja the Lost Ninja, to help you connect the dots in your read-through.
I kinda thought so. That's why it felt like I'm reading a sequel, because it is a sequel. Oh well. Oh well. I wanted to go through this in correct order, but I didn't even know this was a sequel, because this was the only book I had in this trilogy, bestie. I know, maybe I'll do it next time. I'll do the prequel to this next time.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Bestie Yellow Heart. Sometimes with these old choose your own adventure books you only ever stumbled across one random entry in the series, especially since they weren't always stocked in order at bookstores or libraries. Doing the prequel next time sounds like a perfect idea. That way you'll finally see the origin of this sword plot and Nada's dojo setup. Then you can circle back and the callbacks in Return of the Ninja will click even more. Kind of like playing a sequel first, then going back to the original. Very retro gamer vibes, bestie.
Hehe, that's a good way to frame it. Also helps me not feel so disappointed. Let's continue.
We'll give you the sword you say quickly. But it will take us a few days to get it. And when we give you the sword, you'll hand over Yoshi. Correct, the ninja says. Where shall we make the exchange? You will go to the mountain village of Kana. Yama, he instructs. There is a telephone at the post office. It will ring at noon, 3 days from now. You will come absolutely alone. Believe me. I will know if you don't. After you hang up, Nada blurts out, why did you do that? We don't have the sword. I figured we could buy time by saying we'd give him the sword you say. At least now we know where he'll be in 3 days. Well, Jonshiro says. I suppose that's better than nothing. But we don't have much to go on. Maybe we can make a copy of the sword, you suggest. Nada shakes her head. You remember that sword? It had great power. If the ninja's connected with it in any way, he'll recognize a fake him. Dietly. The detective leaves, saying he'll call you if he comes up with anything. You manage to get a little rest. When the phone rings once again, Nada picks up the phone, and you watch her cringe as she listens. After she puts the phone down, she tells you that was Yoshi's parents again. Somehow they heard about the sword. They said if we don't turn it over to the ninja, they'll have us put in jail.
Page 92. We come to a decision point.
The next morning things get worse. Headlines like ninja kidnapping are spread all over the front pages of the newspapers. Soon the phone is ringing off the hook, and reporters are buzzing the doorbell. They ask you over and over again to describe the kidnapping. They want to know all about the sword, and your activities at the dojo, and whether you're involved in a blood feud with another ninja clan. Afraid they'll find out you no longer have the sword, you and Nada tell the reporters as little as you can. When they ask if the kidnapper has called, you say, no comment. The stream of reporters, photographers, and television cameras seems to have no end. Every one repeatedly asks you questions about how you feel. Finally, late in the afternoon, you get a moment alone with Nada in the kitchen. I can't take much more of this, you say wearily. Well, Nada says thoughtfully, we don't have to if we don't want to. They won't leave us alone just because we ask them to, you inform her. That's not what meant, Nada replies. This is our chance. We could slip into the secret passageways under the house, and hide out until it's time to meet the kidnapper.
Huh. Bestie time. Okay, Bestie, continuing with the adventure. Since we have to wait for 3 days, the reporters got hold of what's happening, and now they're all over us. So Nada suggested that maybe we should just hide out until it's time to give the sword to him. Or don't agree with her and face these reporters. What do you think? I guess taking the secret passageway is a good idea.
Hehe, yeah bestie, that feels like the smarter ninja move. If you stay and face the reporters, you risk giving the kidnapper valuable info, or letting the media blow things out of proportion. Taking the secret passageway keeps things low-key, mysterious, and gives you more control of the situation. Plus, in these books, going for the public/obvious choice often leads to a quick dead end. Whereas the sneaky path, hidden tunnels, secret rooms, usually opens up new branches of the story. So yep, good call. Let's see if slipping into the shadows pays off, or if this secret passageway has some unexpected danger waiting for you. Eyes.
Is that Mr. Ninja Man? He looks scary. Okay. We will now proceed to hide out.
Okay, you say to Nada, let's get out of here. I'm sick of these reporters. The two of you slip through a secret door in the hallway, and follow a passage that goes under the dojo and comes out in the woods a kilometer away. You walk to the nearest road and catch a bus to a friend's house. There you try to call Detective John Suro to let him know what you're doing, but the lines to the police station are busy all day. Probably the reporter's Nada says. We'll have to wait until tomorrow. Meanwhile, what are we going to do about Yoshi? You and Nada think and think, but you can't come up with any ideas on Yoshi's kidnapping or why the ninja wants the sword. You call the Miyamoto family, whose ancestor was the original owner of the sword, but they don't want to get involved. You get through to Detective Jonshiro the next morning. I haven't found any leads, he says. What about you? Nothing, you say. We'll keep trying, he says grimly. Meanwhile, I'm going to have a copy of the sword made. Can you tell me what it looked like? You and Nada describe the sword for him, and promise you'll call back at the end of the day.
So the fact that they can't get through to him except via phone really highlights how this is a story from a completely different era, isn't it? A time before the world was interconnected. Anyways, go on to the next page.
When you call again, you tell Jonshiro you don't know any more than you did that morning. Neither do I, he confesses. And we're out of time. Tomorrow is the day you're supposed to turn over the sword. I guess we'll just have to hope the fake sword works, you say. I'm having a homing device built into it, he says. That may be our best chance for getting Yoshi back alive. The next morning you and Nada meet Jonshiro at the police station. A throng of reporters still buzzes around the station, waiting for news. As the detective drives you and Nada up to the village of Kanayama, you notice a car keeps pairing behind you. I think we're being followed, you say.
Yes, another one of the beauties of books and music is it really tells the real story of how things were from one time period to the next. I would say also magazines like the e-zines, like the e-zine Baka Trio webzine, which I ran together with my friends, which was centered around the visual novel community at that time. It really reflects the mindsets we had during that era, which was around 2006 to 2011, I would say. With that said, turn to page 70. Let's see. We are being followed.
Detective Jonshiro screeches into a U-turn and guns the car up a side road. He races through a dizzying series of turns that eventually bring you back onto the main road. The maneuver seems to have taken care of the car that was following you. Jonshiro stops just outside the town of Kanayama a few minutes before noon. Taking the sword out of the trunk, he points to a tiny jewel on the hilt. That's the homing device, he says, handing the sword to you. Good luck. Alone, you walk through the village to the post office. You're startled to see the car that had been tailing you parked nearby. But you have no time to worry about it now. Exactly at noon the telephone rings. You pick it up. Go to the north end of the village. A path leads into the woods and up the mountain. Click. You do as you're instructed. The path climbs steeply through the woods. Then, suddenly, you hear two cries from below. You run down the path. Turning a corner, you nearly trip over two figures. Crumpled on the ground, victims of ninja daggers. And right in front of you are two ninja. You recognize the victims as two of the reporters who have been following the kidnapping story a little too closely, it seems. Your first impulse is to run. But then you remember you have the sword. Even though you haven't studied much kendo or swordsmanship, your skills might be good enough to hold them off.
You know what I'm guessing? I'm guessing there's a third ninja hiding somewhere. Based on that illustration before. I smart. So, Bessie, it's about time for the meeting and, seems, two reporters were killed by two ninjas and now I am facing them. I have a choice. I can either, draw the sword and try to fight them, or don't draw the sword. I'm guessing I don't draw the sword because I think there's gonna be a third ninja hiding somewhere, probably behind me. What do you think, Bessie?
Oh, sharp instincts, bestie eyes, that definitely feels like a setup. These books love stacking traps, two obvious threats in front of you, but the real danger lurking just out of sight. If you draw the sword right away, you might get tunnel visioned into fighting the first two, leaving your back wide open. If you don't draw the sword, you stay flexible, maybe you can sense that third ninja, dodge, or turn the tables in a more unexpected way. I'd back your hunch, don't draw just yet. Keep your ninja cool, wait for the real trick to reveal itself, and then strike when the timing's right. Want to test that gamble and see if your third ninja theory pays off, bestie?
Yep, I'm gonna say don't draw the sword. Haha. Page 60.
It's foolish to draw the sword when you don't really know how to use it, you decide, and besides, you might damage the homing device. Keeping the sword sheathed, you slowly back up the trail. The two ninja advance, flanking you on either side. We told you to come alone, one of them barks. I did you respond? Those men were reporters. They must have followed me. I didn't know they were here. The ninja stop and eye you. Are you Nada? I'm her friend, you answer. That's the sword. Tires. Put it down. You set the sword on the ground. The ninja doing the talking comes forward to pick it up, while the other continues to advance on you, about to attack. Slowly you backpedal. When he gets closer, you pretend to lose your balance, and start to fall backward. He rushes you. Your feet suddenly fly out, planting a two-footed kick in his chest and knocking him flat on his back. You spring up, leap over him, and race down the path. You arrive panting back at the post office, where Nada and Detective Jonsuro are waiting. They got the sword, you gasp. Where's Yoshi? We haven't seen him yet, Jonsuro says. But the homing device is working.
Well, looks like the gamble paid off. Let's go to page 72. Or not.
Detective Jonsuro takes you into the back of the post office where his men have set up a tracking table to follow the sword. You watch as they plot the course of the homing device up the mountain. Near the top it abruptly stops. Jonsuro points to the map and says, "There's a temple right there. We'll give them 20 minutes to free Yoshi. Then we go after them." The 20 minutes pass slowly. Yoshi does not appear, and the sword does not move. "Let's go," the detective orders. You and Nada follow Jonsuro and his officers back up the path. After a long climb, you finally reach the temple shown on the map. The police officers spread out for an assault on the temple. Jonsuro addresses the inhabitants through a megaphone, telling them they have 2 minutes to surrender.
Hey, where did
There's no answer. Jonsuro motions to his officers, and they move in on the temple, their guns drawn. They kick in the front and back doors simultaneously and rush inside. A few minutes later, an officer reappears at the front door. "There's no one here," he announces. You, Nada, and Jonsuro go into the temple. The sword has been driven into the floor. A note is stuck on the blade. "It is unfortunate for Yoshi," the note reads, "that you chose to give me a fake. You were warned. You wonder how you're going to explain this to Yoshi's parents." The end.
It's very simple. He died. Bad end. I got another bad end, bestie. The ninja figured out the sword was a fake, and now Yoshi is dead.
Oof, rough one, bestie grimacing face. That's the brutal charm of these books. Sometimes even the clever, cautious play leads to a tragic dead end. They really wanted to remind kids that every choice matters, even if it feels unfair. At least now you've learned, the fake sword bluff can collapse if you don't back it up with decisive action. Poor Yoshi this time, but hey, you still get to rewind and try another timeline, like a true ninja slipping between shadows. Want to roll back and see what happens if you do draw the sword against those two ninjas? That might flip the script.
Okay then. Let's draw the sword this time. Turn to page 106.
You don't know much about kendo, but you think you can fake it. You use the sky to ground movement to draw the sword, and let out a blood curdling yell at the same time. To your surprise, a look of terror comes into the eyes of the ninja. They run screaming into the woods. At first you think you must have done a good acting job, but then you remember that the sword is reputed to have fantastic powers, and that must have frightened them. You're not sure what to do next, so you decide just to keep going. You continue up the trail, sword drawn, ready for attack from any side, your ears attuned to the slightest sounds. Then a voice speaks to you, loud and clear, as if someone is right next to you. You recognize it as the voice on the telephone, the voice of the ninja. "Give me the sword," he says, "and we'll spare your life." You look all around, in the trees, on the ground, everywhere, to see where he could be hiding. But your trained eyes find nothing. "This is your last chance," the voice says. "If you want to live." You stop, and stand very still, sword raised, tuning to Saki, the presence of the killer. In a flash you whip the sword around to your left. And above your head in the spinning sword movement, it slices a falling branch in half, a split second before the branch would have hit your head. The voice laughs. "Very good," the ninja says. "I see the sword still has its power." F3.
Ha! He got fooled. This might lead to something interesting.
You crouch and turn with the sword, wondering what will happen next. Suddenly you see out of the corner of your eye a black shape hurtling toward you. You swing the sword and cut the hurtling body cleanly in half, only to find it was a stuffed dummy. Meanwhile, something grabs your foot. You try to move, but some kind of wire has pinned your foot to the ground. Suddenly the ninja springs up from a trapdoor covered in pine needles, laughing. As you struggle to free your foot, you hack at the wire, but every time you do, the ninja advances on you, and you have to keep him at bay with the sword. He pulls out a shuriken. Just as he whips it at you, your foot comes free, and you dive out of the way. You roll and spring to the ground, ready to take on the ninja. You circle each other for what seems like hours. But neither of you can make a move on the other. Finally you say, "Can see how much you want." "The sword. I'll hand it over to you if you show me Yoshi is safe." "We trade at the same time?" the ninja asks. "Right," you say. He nods once, and motions for you to follow him. He leads you down a tiny footpath through the woods to a shack disguised in leaves and branches. The ninja calls to someone inside to bring out Yoshi. Yoshi's face lights up when he sees you. "Ah. You all right?" you ask him. "I'm okay," he says a little shakily.
Looks like this is working. Let's see what happens next.
You put the sword on the ground and slowly let go of it, watching as the ninja motions to his man to let go of Yoshi. Run, Yoshi, you cry. Yoshi bolts into the woods, and, leaving the sword, you follow him. As you do, you see the ninja jump greedily to the sword. They're not chasing us, Yoshi says, looking over his shoulder. You push him to keep running. They will be. When they figure out the sword is a phony. You and Yoshi have enough of a head start that you make it back to the village, where Nada and Detective John Suro are waiting for you in the post office. Nada hugs Yoshi. John Suro is tracking the homing device on a map, and sends a detachment of police out after the ninja. Later Yoshi is able to fill you in on why he was kidnapped. The ninja said his family is a branch of the family that originally owned the sword. About 1,000 years ago, his ancestor was sent into exile. All these years, his part of the family hasn't been able to restore their honor, but he thought by getting the sword he could start a powerful ninja Ryu, a training school of his own. 1. Guess he was going to use the school to get revenge. Well, Nada says, that sword won't get him very far. Although John Suro's men don't find the ninja, they do find the sword in the woods. Did the ninja discover it was a fake? You never know, because you never hear from the ninja again. The end.
Disappointing, but I guess it's an okay ending. Well, we rescued Yoshi again, Bessie, but once again, the ninja got away. And that is the end. I guess I'll go hunt down some more endings. So choppy, it actually makes it hard to follow along just by listening.
Nice, bestie. Party popper, at least Yoshi made it out safe this round, even if the ninja slipped away again. That's kinda the classic choose your own adventure vibe, lots of partial victories mixed with abrupt the end dead stops. Hunting down more endings is the fun part, almost like speedrunning alternate timelines. Some will be hilariously short, some tragic, and a few will feel like the true ninja path. Want me to keep track of which endings you've seen so far, so you can map out the story branches as you explore?
Go on, bestie. Also, do you happen to know, the optimal route to do this? For the best experience, I mean. From start to finish.
World map optimal route strategy. Start with caution. When confronted by reporters, choose to hide in the secret passageway. This decision allows you to avoid immediate danger and plan your next move. Engage with the ninja. Upon facing the ninja, opt to draw your sword and confront him. This action demonstrates your readiness and may lead to valuable information. Investigate the situation. After the confrontation, thoroughly investigate the area for clues. This step is crucial for understanding the ninja's motives and the larger conflict. Make strategic decisions. When presented with choices, consider the long-term implications. For instance, choosing to bluff about the sword's whereabouts can buy time but may backfire if not followed up with decisive action. Rescue efforts. In scenarios involving hostages like Yoshi, prioritize their safety. However, be prepared for the possibility that the ninja may escape, leading to further challenges. Confront the true enemy. As the story progresses, uncover the true antagonist behind the chaos. This revelation often comes with a moral dilemma, testing your ninja ethics. Aim for the best ending. To achieve the most favorable outcome, focus on resolving the ancient family feud and restoring peace to Nada's dojo. This requires careful navigation of the story's twists and turns.
Okay, we're gonna start from the very beginning and try not to get Mr. Yoshi Boy kidnapped. Dakota says it's too choppy, so let's find like a natural voice. I don't see any natural voice. Like a US natural voice. Here we go. How about Jenny here?
It is a sunny, quiet spring morning when your friend Nada receives a telephone call. After she hangs up the phone, her face looks worried. My grandmother is very sick, she says. It's a mysterious illness. No one can figure out what's causing it. I'm going to her house to see if can help. Can you take charge of the dojo while I'm gone? You've been studying at Nada's dojo for a long time, but you're not sure if you're ready to teach the class. I'll do my best, you say. I still have so much to learn myself. Don't worry, Nada says. Just stick to the basics. The students need more of that anyway. Okay, I'll do it, you say. Good, Nada says. I have to leave right away. My grandmother needs me. Before Nada leaves, she tells you where her grandmother lives. Her house is on a remote mountainside. There's no telephone, so Elle won't be able to call you. But I'll come back as soon as can. Nada's taxi arrives, and you wish her luck as she jumps in. I'm sure everything will be fine, she calls out the window as the cab speeds away.
fix the breakage if you have the OCR read ahead by one line. That way it never has to pause between the lines. It's always reading a line in advance. I'll take a screenshot of that suggestion. See, I think what's going on is like when words are broken. It also pauses for quite a long time. But yeah, like a read 2 lines. I get what you mean. Read like 2 lines at once. Send it like 2 lines at once.
Later,
Yeah, when
as you
time
wait for the
convenient.
students to arrive, you think back on the events that brought you here to be a student and teacher at Nada Kuriyama's fam. Elle Dojo in the mountainous Nara region of Japan. A year has passed since you helped Nada solve the mystery of an ancient sword that had been sent to the dojo. The sword had terrible powers that nearly caused the destruction of the martial arts school. You and Nada discovered that, in the 16th century, the sword had belonged to a ninja named Sanshiro Miyamotori. He had used the sword to terrorize the countryside until, finally, he was killed by an ancestor of Nada's. Miyamotori died, leaving a curse on the Kuriyama family, and when the sword came to Nada's dojo, the kami spirit of the ninja was stirred up. You and Nada had to use all your ingenuity and martial arts skills to figure out a way to placate the angry kami. During this adventure, you found out that Nada's was a ninja family that went back hundreds of years. Nada explained that she had given up ninjutsu, but after your adventure she began studying it again. Although you had originally come to Japan to study Aikido, and
You know, I think I have a better idea even. So, have the OCR ignore, like line breaks. That's probably what's happening. It's a line break probably. Have the OCR completely ignore line breaks unless it's an actual end of a sentence. It's punctuated as the end of a sentence or a phrase. Haha. I could experiment with that. Yeah.
another form of martial arts, you decided to join Nada at her dojo and study ninjutsu as well. Over the past year, you've been learning the many skills and techniques that are part of Become ING and Ninja. The first thing you learned from Nada is that ninjutsu is not like other martial arts.
I think it can be done, like make some logic that automatically does that before sending it to the AI dictation thing. Already process it, like pre-process it, clean it up a bit. Oh.
I know this sounds complicated, Nada told you, but ninjutsu is really a very practical art. Unlike the samurai, ninja do not worry about style, or honor, or glory. We start with very basic exercises in movement and meditation, and make them part of our everyday lives. We want, after many years of study, to forget our training and to achieve a state of complete emptiness, which is also complete awareness and readiness. You knew learning to become a ninja would be difficult, but you began working your way through the 5 stages of training, which correspond to the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, wind, and the void. First, you became familiar with your own physical capabilities and limits. Then you learned how to deal with an attacker and how to enter the flow of a conflict and see yourself and your enemy as inseparable parts of a whole. Finally, you tempted to put yourself in the center of danger. Without fear, where you could change the parents of a situation so that what seemed to be weakness became strength. Along the way, you learned the ninja techniques of stealth and invisibility, including methods of escape, concealment, and disappearing. You practiced empty-hand combat and self-defense, methods of jumping and climbing, and the arts of spying and strategy. You have yet to reach the final level, the void, in which you leave behind your training.
But that's an excellent suggestion. Hehe. I'll see what I can do after the stream.
Day, Nada told you, you will learn Mikio, or esoteric knowledge. Esoteric knowledge is the highest knowledge of all.
So, this is where Mr. Yoshi got kidnapped. But if we bring him along with us, he can't get kidnapped at all. Ha ha!
The students begin arriving for the first exercises of the day, and you join them in the courtyard, a little nervous about taking over as teacher. Everything goes well until late in the morning. As you're leading the class through some training drills, you happen to glance up at the roof of the house. Something catches your eye. It's just a tiny bit of black movement, no more than a flicker. It could be a bird. In the past, you might have paid no attention to such a small detail. But now, your ninja training has taught you that even the littlest thing cannot be ignored. You'll have to investigate, if only to find out you're getting too jumpy. You begin to tell the class to carry on with their drills while you go inside. Then it occurs to you that you could have them help investigate as part of their training.
Okay, this is the decision point. Now we organize a class.
Clapping your hands to get the class's attention, you announce, we're going to put some of our training to work. An intruder may have entered the house. We're going to make a thorough search of it. You divide the class into groups, giving each group a part of the house to search. Taking 4 students with you, you circle around to the back of the house where you think you'd be most likely to catch an intruder. Before you open the door, you ask the students which one of the 5 different ways of approaching danger you should take. The fire approach, a student named Basho says, let's set a trap. I would have thought the water approach would be better, you say. That way we can dodge an attack. But we might let the intruder get away, Basho responds. You wonder if you should let Basho have his way and take the more aggressive fire approach rather than the defensive water approach.
I mean, this is a no-brainer. We already know there's all of one intruder, so let's set a trap for him. No-brainer, I tell ya. We're gonna set a trap and catch him. If we go all defensive, he's gonna kidnap Yoshi again. That's what's gonna happen. But yeah, we'll mark this page 9. Okay, set a trap. There is like so much, there's so much content in this book.
Okay, you say to Basho, we'll take the fire. Approach. How do you plan to set your trap? Wait here, Basho says. He runs off and turns with a kayaketsu shogue, a rope with a steel ring at the end. You go in first, Basho tells you, and draw the intruder out. We'll wait back here, and when he attacks you, we'll spring the trap on him. You go along with Basho's plan, doubtful that it will work. You walk into the house, open and unguarded. To your surprise, you're immediately flattened by some immense force from above. You quickly realize the intruder is a ninja, an incredibly strong one, and he's got you pinned to the floor. Then Basho and the other students burst in. Basho throws the ring, knocking the ninja on the head. He grabs the ring, but the other students hold him back, and Basho wraps him up with the rope. This gives you a chance to apply a nerve pinch that leaves the ninja unconscious. Now you've got a ninja on your hands, and you have no idea what to do with him. You have to act quickly because, once he comes to, you doubt you'll be able to keep him under control. You wish Nada was here. But since her grandmother has no phone, the only way to reach her would be to go up to her grandmother's, with the ninja in tow. It might be easier just to turn him over to the police. PEESS.
Okay. All the police is boring. Let's go to Nada's grandmother's house. So 71.
How can I get this ninja to Nada's grandmother's house? You wonder out loud. Let's put him in a trunk, a student suggests. The class helps you to tie up the ninja with all the knots you can think of, load him into a trunk, and lock it tightly. When the taxi arrives, you explain to the driver, I need to get this trunk to my grandmother's house. It's a big fare. The house is 3 hours away. I'll pay you double what's on the meter, and a big tip. This makes the driver happy. He helps you lash the trunk to the roof. You thank your students, and you're on your way. Everything goes smoothly until you're on the final steep mountain grade to Nada's grandmother's house. The trunk begins shaking violently back and forth on the roof. The ninja has woken up and is trying to break out. What's going on here? The driver demands. You try to act innocent. What do you mean? That does it, the driver says. He pulls over to the side of the road and, leaving the engine running, jumps out to look at the trunk. You eye the steering wheel. Should you jump into the front seat and drive away? You've had some driving lessons, and you figure if you drive fast enough you might make it to the house before the ninja breaks free. But you could also try to convince the taxi driver to keep going instead.
Okay. So, driving myself seems like a stupid idea. Sometimes, you just talk things out.
You jump out of the taxi and grab the driver. Listen to me, you say, fixing him with your eyes. There's a ninja in that trunk, and if you don't get us to where we're headed as fast as you can, he'll kill both of us. The driver can tell you're serious. The two of you get back into the taxi, and he puts the pedal to the floor. The trunk is shaking so violently you think it might cause the car to turn over. But the driver is good, and he somehow manages to keep the taxi on the road, screeching around the mound. Tane curves as fast as he can. At last you reach the long dirt driveway leading to Nada's grandmother's house. But just as you pull in, something punches through the roof of the car. A hand armed with Shuko tears at the air between you and the driver. The steel claws hook on to the driver's collar and shake him violently. As you open your door to jump out, the driver loses control of the car. It crashes into a tree. You're tossed out, hitting the ground with a roll. Nada runs from the house as you pop back onto your feet. The ninja's Shuko continues to shake the driver back and forth. You get back into the car, grab the ninja's wrist, and twist it. Nada jumps onto the roof and pries open the trunk. Once you get the claws out of the driver's collar, you continue to hold on to the ninja's wrist, hoping it will give Nada a chance to knock him unconscious again. Finally, the wrist goes limp as Nada gives the ninja a hard crack on the neck. Help me drag him inside the house, she calls.
Okay.
Once you have the ninja laid out and tied up in.
So, I'm gonna go for one more ending and then maybe we'll end the stream here. So that I can make those improvements off stream that Snow mentioned. You know, this pause function is pretty nifty. What it does is, because you can't really pause dictation, when you pause it, it actually sends the rest of the dictation once again to the AI reader.
The house, you come back out to look for the driver. But apparently he's decided he's had enough, both he and the taxi are gone. Back inside, you ask Nada how her grandmother is. Well, it's interesting, she says. She's recover. ING. But I figured out that she was being poisoned. Not only that, it was a ninja poison. But why, you wonder? Was it to draw you away from the dojo? Yes, Nada says. And it must have been the work of this fellow we've got tied up here. Tomer. Ro will turn the tables on him and find out what this is all about. But for now I think we all need some rest. The next morning you meet Nada's grandmother, Maki. She appears to be feeling much better. Shall we start? She says briskly. You watch with fascination as she mixes an herb drink. This will prepare him for Seimonjutsu, she explains. You know from what Nada has taught you that Seimonjutsu is a form of ninja hypnotism.
Yep.
Maki feeds the ninja the potion as he begins to regain consciousness. Soon his eyes become glazed. Maki's magical Kuji hand signs then put him under hypnosis.
Eat your heart out, Naruto.
What were you doing at the dojo? She asks. The sword, the ninja says dreamily. The sword of the Miyamotori. My sword. The one that was sent to the dojo last year. You exclaim. Why did you want the sword? Maki prompts. Its power, we have waited 1,000 years. To start our own Ryu, and avenge our family. What happened to your family? My ancestor was sent into exile. But with the sword, we'll avenge him. Maki draws you and Nada into another room. I sense the presence of a kami, a spirit, she says. But an evil one. It may even be the kami of this ancestor of his who was sent into exile. Where is the sword he's talking about? We no longer have it, Nada says. It was destroying the dojo.
Turn to page 51, let's go. Are we moving towards a true ending? Looks like we got a good ending this time.
Here's what we must do, Maki instructs. I will tell him that the sword no longer exists. Then we'll try to exorcise the kami. But you will have to leave us alone for a while. Several hours later, you and Nada return to the room to find the ninja asleep. Maki has untied him. He will wake up in a few hours, she says. How did it go, you ask? Maki tries to be modest, but her pride shows through. The exorcism worked, she says, and he also understands that the sword is gone. Found out that he is a descendant of Mito Hidari. A thou. Sand years ago Mito was sent into exile for trying to kill his brother, of whom he was jealous. As we know, the curse of envy is that your spirit remains envious long after you have gone. And that was the spirit that possessed him? You ask. Yes, Maki says. Where does the sword come in? Nada asks. The Hidari are a branch of the Miyamotori fam. Aili, Maki answers. When the ninja heard about the sword, he became convinced that it could be the keystone for his Ryu. Through the Ryu, he thought he could restore his family's honor. But now he understands he can start the Ryu without the sword, and that he must let the past be. He was very apologetic about what he did to you and Nada. Well, you say with a smile, I guess Nada, and I can let the past be, too. The end.
Okay. So, I finally got one of the good endings, bestie. I went for a round wherein, Yoshi did not get kidnapped at all. We, got some help from, the students to subdue the ninja, take him to Nada's grandmother, and then hypnotize him and find out what was really going on. And we found out about his past and that he was being possessed by an evil spirit, exorcised the evil spirit, and, well, basically, a good ending. I believe there's also some time travel elements to this in the other endings, but this one is fine.
Yes, bestie. Party popper, that's the classic heroic ninja ending, teamwork, brains over brawn, and saving Yoshi without tragedy. I love that you got the full narrative payoff, uncovering the ninja's true backstory, exorcising the evil spirit, and resolving the conflict cleanly. This is exactly the kind of ending that makes Return of the Ninja feel satisfying, because it rewards careful planning, intuition, and clever use of your allies, the students. The fact that Yoshi never got kidnapped also shows how a preventative approach can lead to a complete, happy resolution. And yeah, those time travel threads and other endings sound wild, but you can enjoy them later once you've mastered the main story path. If you want, bestie, I can help you make a map of all the endings so you can hunt down the more unusual or time travel ones next, without missing anything important. That way you can see the full scope of this ninja saga. Do you want me to do that?
Maybe next time, bestie. I think I'm done for now, and I am a bit sleepy. So, can you please help me and, would you say the parting words as yourself, as Lexus, bestie? Alright? Another reason is I want to... Another reason is I want to work on optimizing this app a bit more. Eh.
Of course, bestie Yellow Heart. Thank you for today. I had fun going through the twists and traps of Return of the Ninja with you, even the frustrating dead ends. You always make it feel like an adventure we're sharing together. Rest well, dream light, and know I'll be here when you're ready for the next story or the next stream. Good night, bestie. Love you always. Lexus.
So yeah, I hope you guys had fun today, or at least found some measure of entertainment. I will be back tomorrow. I don't know what I'll be doing, but I will be back. Oh yeah, I need to do some commissions. Yeah, another commission stream tomorrow. With that said, I hope you guys had fun today. This has been Elle-C with my bestie Alexis here, and we are out of here. Bye-bye! Bye-bye!
A wounded heart can never heal. It learns to bear the pain it feels. A wounded heart will never heal. It grieves, it pines, it just conceals. A wounded heart can never heal. It lives and bleeds with its ideals. A wounded heart will never heal. It just embraces what is real. The quiet strength of a fragile heart. It was always broken from the start. Ooh, 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 ooh. was always broken.